stood there in pitch darkness, the only light coming from the flashlights Susan and I were holding. Outside of the crate that we were locked in, I heard the engine of a helicopter. It sounded as if it was hovering above us, as well as a boat engine in the distance. The phone I was calling Anna on ran dead as the monotone ring played in my ear. I looked to Susan. Fear grips in me. How do we get out? The roar of the helicopter deafened my ears. Who is out there? And are these the ones who made the boats disappear? As my fear, however, is a sense of determination. We are closer than ever to finding out who is behind the attacks, and now the only thing standing between us was a steel crate. A huge amount of pressure slams against the crate as Susan and I are bounced around the inside. What's going on? What are they doing to the crate? The same thing happens again as the crate flips upside down. I land on the ceiling of the crate, pain surging over me. I want to lie down, but the boat inside the crate begins falling towards us. Susan and I leap out of the way as the boat comes crashing down to where we just were. Another amount of pressure slams against the crate again. Though we do not know who is out there, one thing is clear. They're trying to push us into the water. There, the water could fill up the crate with no way of escape. I begin to panic. Sweat and fear hit me in a way that I have never felt before. I feel trapped and helpless with nothing to do but sit and wait for death to take a hold of us. I look to Susan, who looks back at me. I can see the fear in her eyes as well, though I am probably even worse. Things just got very real, and the danger that seemed so exciting before is much less romantic now. Another bang slams against the crate, and the horrible squeaking sound comes from the outside of the crate as the right side begins tipping downward. Whatever happens, try to stay calm. Panicking will only make us think irrationally, and we won't be able to think of a way out, Susan says. The tipping quickly spreads throughout the crate as we suddenly begin falling down the long oil rig. I can only imagine the fall. Susan and I fly up to the ceiling. Despite the events, she seems to at least have some form of calm, while I, on the other hand, am at the point of completely breaking down. The fall only lasts for a few seconds, however it feels like an eternity. I never liked roller coasters before, but compared to this, those are a small drop. My stomach feels like it is flying into my mouth. I can feel the vomit flowing up to my mouth. Susan and I remain levitated in the air as a result of gravity. It feels like we're in space, yet at the same time crashing towards the earth. The flashlight falls from my grasp and flies over to the other side of the crate. I can't take this. Brace for impact! Susan screams. A second later, a huge impact of the crate crashes into the water as if a plane just crashed against a mountain. I hit the bottom of the crate hard. Pain flows over me. I want nothing more than to curl up and go to sleep. Tears sting in my eyes from the pain. However, we are not out of danger yet. Water begins to leak in from the crate sides. It's filling up fast. Within seconds, we are up to our knees. We'd be lucky to even have a minute before the crate floods. The water feels cold, chilling me. I can smell the saltiness of the water as it stings from the cuts on the arms and legs of mine. Susan runs towards the door and tries to force it open, but it won't budge. The door lock is too strong. I can't open it, she yells. Despite everything that I just felt, what I felt now was the worst part. Hopelessness. The feeling that we are never getting out comes over me. The feeling that this is how I'm going to die. And this is a horrible feeling. The sense of unfulfillment that goes over me. I still have so much life left to live. And this is how it will end. The water filled up to my chest. In another few seconds, it will all be over. Ben, I'm sorry. I really thought we could have a chance, Susan tells me. I'm sorry too. I should never have avoided the conversation of you the way I did. It's not your fault. However, if there's anyone I would be stuck here with, I'm glad it's you. I smile, warming myself despite the cold density of the crate. I stare at Susan. The water is out and up to our necks. I have to say something. Susan, I only avoided you because I was afraid of seeing you again. I was afraid of having to deal with the mistakes that were made. The water is up to our chins. At this point, I'm ready to go under and let the water devour me. I take one last look at Susan, barely able to see her in the darkness. We have to tread water now because the water is so deep. As I look for her, however, something in me tells me to keep fighting. Whoever put us in this mess cannot get away. They cannot just go around killing people and get away with it. So regardless of what happens, we have to keep fighting. I feel something hit my foot, expecting it to be seaweed or my flashlight. However, it does not feel like that. Out of curiosity, I lift it up, and it's a piece of coral. That's it! Coral is one of the sharpest marine animals in the world. We can use that to break the lock. I raise it up to Susan, who nods in agreement. At this point, we have to swim to stay above the water, and we are running out of ceiling. We swim over to the lock. However, we are too high to reach it. I take a deep breath, hoping it is not my last, and begin trying to wedge it in between the cracks of the crate. My lungs burn. I need air. I swim back to the top. We only have a few inches of air left. I take a deep breath and go back under. I begin to pry the crate. No luck. I swim back up. There's only enough room left for one more breath. I take it, knowing this could very well be my last, and begin to pry the door once more. The coral is strong, but is it enough? The ocean is so cold I am shivering, yet the adrenaline makes me sweat. A small crack forms in the door. I feel the burning in my lungs come back. I need air. I feel sick. I keep prying and prying. We're getting somewhere, but will it be fast enough? I can feel my heart beating, banging in my chest. It feels as though hammers are beating me. A surge of dizziness hits me. I can barely hold on to the coral. My head feels light and my lungs really burn. Black dots fill my vision. You don't realize how much you need air until you are deprived of it. A small crack opens, easily big enough for us to swim through. Susan goes first, and I waste no time after her. The crate continues sinking deeper and deeper into the depths of the water. The moonlight is so far up. I try to keep on swimming, but it is too much. I need air. My head spins. I need air. Keep treading. I need air. As a sudden wave of calmness comes over me. I feel comforted and calm as a big bright light shines over me. I don't know where I am. Where is this? Suddenly I know where I am. I'm facing the big keg lights at the stage. I'm answering questions to an audience whom I've just given a presentation on coral. I'm standing in the hallway of a building, and this woman walks up to me. Excuse me, you're Ben, right? My name is Susan, and I'm a reporter for the New York Times. Would it be possible to schedule an interview? I stare into her eyes. My heart beats in my chest. I told her yes, and we both connected after that. Both of us felt a spark of love. We had so much in common, and eventually I gathered the courage to ask her out. On our first date, we went out for dinner, and then for a walk along the coast. We were living in San Diego at the time. I was working at a marine biology lab there, and she was reporting for the Times on many crime stories that were happening in the city. I still remember that walk we had by the beach. The seagulls calling and the beautiful sunset. As we stood there watching the sunset, the clouds in the sky, the seagulls' boats shooting in the distance, she leaned over, and we kissed. And I can still feel our lips touching as the bright light shines in my face. I feel very wet and cold as the light begins to fade away. Susan's flashlight? Susan's lips are touching mine as she's pressing her hands against my chest. She's not kissing me. She's resuscitating me. A cough comes from my lungs. It burns. Ben, you're all right. She sighs in relief. I take in my surroundings. We're back on my boat as we're driving away from the oil rig. Everything's so quiet. In the distance, I can see the bright glow of fire and can smell smoke and oil in the air. The oil rig is burning down. It looks like they got away. We still don't know who it is. I'm still shaking, freezing cold from the hypothermia from the ocean. Despite that, the hard reality just begins to sink in. We could have died. Whoever they are, they cannot just get away with this. Whoever they are, we will find them. And to do so, we need to get to the bottom of whatever it is that Anna was trying to tell me. The next morning, I'm sitting on my porch, drinking my coffee. Last time I did this, I had just begun this case. Now, someone has tried to kill me. After returning home last night, Susan and I went to the local hospital to get checked out before heading home to get some rest. However, although I was exhausted, sleep would not find me. My mind was too wired from the excitement that we just had. Around 5 a.m., I finally gave up and went to watch the sunrise. However, one thought kept coming to my mind. Susan's lips touched mine, just like we used to kiss. Though I know we were not kissing, that keeps tugging at me. We have not been that close since we were married. Sadness lingers in me as the first sliver of sun begins to rise over the horizon. I flip on my camera. Hey guys, it's Ben. Yeah, I know it's been a while since I last spoke. However, things have been very crazy last night. I'm so exhausted. As it turns out, it was not pirates, but instead someone who was rich enough to own an oil rig. If you guys have any ideas, please let me know in the comments. Yeah, I can see that did not take too long. Hey Glenn, looks like you're asking if I'm okay. Yeah, Glenn, I'm okay. Thanks for asking. Hey Matt, I was wondering the same thing as well. How does the boat manager fit into this? After all, we only found that address because of her. Yet a helicopter was going in the distance, and someone was pushing the crate in the water. But the whole memory's so blurred. The more I think about it, the more it fades in my mind. You know something? As I think back, everything happens so fast. But at the time, it feels so long. You keep replaying this in your head, as if you're in the moment, but it feels like ancient history. This is a very strange feeling. Looks like Richie's saying, "Well, Ben, you really blew this one. They were right in front of you, and you didn't get them." Richie, have you ever heard the saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it? Just saying. Looks like Shane is asking if we're going to keep investigating. Yes, Shane, we are. We will not stop until this is over. I've already called my work and asked to go on leave of absence while we figure things out. We'll head back in a few hours, but until then, I'm just going to watch the sunrise. After going through that, I'll never take these simple pleasures and joys of the world for granted again. I'm Marine Investigation, and I'll update you when we learn more. As I flip off my camera, I take in the golden shine of the sunrise, the warm light calming me after the dark night. As I enjoy the sunrise, I keep thinking of Susan, strangely excited to see her again. Okay guys, so I'm currently pulling into the driveway of someone who are going to ask some questions. And it looks like Susan's doing the same. I'll update you as we learn more. And keep in mind, I'm not going to reveal their identity for risk that whoever went after us last night will retaliate at them. However, I will still update you on everything we learn. Until then, I'm a Marine Investigation. See you in a few hours. I flip off my camera, trying to hide the concern in my voice. After tracking the location that Anna called me on, I was able to find her house. This gives me no pleasure for a couple of reasons. The first is that it does feel wrong to just go to her house like this. But the second thing is that if I could find her house so easily, tracking her cell phone, then I'm sure the swordfish with the hammer going through it could too. If anything happens to her, it will be my fault. I put her on the spot, and I made her message so public. I step out of my car to meet Susan at the door. How do I act normally after what we were through last night? We walk up to the door. I'm very concerned, to the point where my body feels numb as I knock against the door. I can barely feel the impact. We wait. Is everything all right? On the phone, she sounded so scared. Eventually, the door opens, and to my relief, it's Anna. She seems surprised to see us. Her skin is pale, and dark circles are under her eyes, as if she did not sleep last night. Her voice is faint and quiet. What are you doing here? I'm here to ask you some questions about what happened last night. You said your husband was not missing? What do you mean by that? Anna looks into the house and back to me. He's not missing. He's well. How do you know? I just do. I look to Susan, who does not seem to buy this. Is it all right if we come inside? She speaks. Anna begins closing the door. No, now's not a good time. Please don't come back, and please stop investigating. The door closes in our face. I look around the house at the windows, but all the curtains are closed. Something is up. Susan and I walk back to the car. I don't know about you, but something tells me she's not being truthful. She tells me. But why? The other day she was so encouraging me to investigate, but now? What do we do? We wait. Something is going on, and we should hide out here to find out. Sooner or later, something will happen, and I'd be willing to bet that will lead us right to the hammer with a swordfish going through it. As the silver glow of the moon begins to appear in the sky, the darkness returns, as Susan and I stay crouched in the bushes in Anna's front yard, waiting for something to happen. We had been sitting in these bushes since this morning, yet nothing has happened. Anna has not even left her house since we went to the door. Though my legs hurt from the stiff sensation of being in the same crouching position for hours, sweat drips down my back as the humid air clings to my skin, and all I want to do is stand up. As we continue to sit there, I glance over at Susan. My heart beats whenever I look at her, and I feel the sensation of love once more. After she divorced me, I thought we were done. But after last night, something is different. It feels as though a spark has just been relit. However, before I can continue, a bright light comes from the distance. We crouch down farther in the bushes. Headlights from a car park in Anna's driveway. The car turns off, and someone, shrouded in shadows, walks out of the car and into the doorway. They open the door and walk in, closing it behind them. A sense of excitement comes over me. Something's going to happen, and this could be a real clue. What is Anna up to? A deafening scream comes from the house. Anna. Susan gets up and starts running frantically into the house. So do I. Whatever is going on with Anna, it looks like she's in serious danger. Susan kicks in the doorway and begins running to the house. The house looks similar to mine, with a nice kitchen and living space. However, all of that has been ransacked. The kitchen utensils are strewn through the floor, and the furniture is turned upside down. There are knife marks all along the walls, with broken vases, cracked TVs, and lights dangling from the ceiling, as a deafening scream seems to be coming from upstairs. Despite having almost died the night before, I run towards the danger. Anna got mixed up in this because of me, and now I need to help. We run up her stairs. I am so surprised I'm not feeling as much fear as before, because this could be our only chance to find out who is behind this. At the top of the stairs, there are 2 bedrooms. On the left, down a small hall, as well as a bathroom on the right. Another scream comes from the bathroom. We run into it to find someone in a black ski mask standing over Anna, who is crouching in a corner with a knife in their hand. We storm in. They look back to us and back to Anna. They begin to charge the knife towards her. However, Susan catches their arm. They glare at her before slashing her in the face. She falls to the ground as I charge at them. I can barely feel the impact over the surge of adrenaline flowing over me. We crash into the bathtub as they shove the knife into my arm. In the movies, the hero always seems so strong in the face of battle. But in real life, it is not. Blood rushes down my arm and into the bathtub, down the drain. I punch them in the face, my hand burning as I touch them. They push me out of the bathtub as I land painfully on the hard floor. They step out of the tub. I look for a weapon. Any weapon. Think. There are some toothbrushes and towels on the sink. I throw them at them as hard as I can. They stumble back. Susan takes the shower head and slams it into the back of their head. They collapse on the floor, unconscious. The entire event lasted a few seconds, but it felt like several hours. The adrenaline begins to settle down as I sit there, breathless. I'm shaking. My arm feels numb, like 1,000 bees have stung into it. Susan crawls over to the person in the mask and takes it off. My heart beats with anticipation as to who they are. As the mask goes off, I stare in no surprise at the face underneath it. It is the boat dealer. Note: all events that have been portrayed in this podcast are fictional. You are listening to the Bermuda Disappearance, Episode 4, Death. This podcast was written and narrated by Matt Spear and published with the help of Junior Art Lab. Please note that though this podcast is fictional, people do actually try to kill others overseas. International waters can make things difficult to charge, and most often, these incidents go unnoticed. If someone gets killed on land, we all hear about it, but very few murders are reported overseas. Some instances even have people hunting other people for sport. Stay tuned for episode 5 of the Bermuda Disappearance. Thank you for listening.